This video will show you how to replace your cooling fan on this Toyota Corolla. This will be located along the front of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. To be able to get this out, you'd want to remove the entire upper radiator support bracket, but it's very common for the mounting bolts to break, so we're going to avoid that and we'll just continue on with the process. We're going to make our way up along the top of the radiator support. We have brackets. Along each side, I have a 12mm headed mounting bolt holding the bracket in place. Remove the bolt, remove your bracket. Let's get this other side. Now we've got plenty of movement from this area. Let's start dislodging the coolant hose that comes across the top of the fan shroud. Just pull that right out of place. Now we're going to start removing this upper plastic panel. Along each side there's a 10mm bolt. We'll just take hold of this. We're going to lift it up. Just a quick inspection of that. You can set that aside. Now over on the driver's side of your fan shroud, we're going to be looking at our electrical connectors. Now we're making our way over towards the driver's side of the fan shroud. Typically you're going to be removing this from this area, but it's generally easiest to remove it once the whole fan is out of position. It's common for the bolts to be rusted in place. Now since that's going to be the case, we're going to move along to disconnecting our two electrical connectors. As far as this black connector, we're using a small pocket screwdriver. Come in at an angle, and you want to press in on this tab here. So I'm just going to lightly start twisting, pressing, and it slides right out of place. Thorough inspection for corrosion of each one of these connectors as we continue on. Now for the gray connector, I'm going to come in a little differently. I'm still using the same tool. I'm going to come in at an angle like this, make my way underneath the next locking tab, and pry that out of place as well. Got some movement there. There we go. Now as far as the wiring harnesses, we're really just paying attention to the harness that has the black connector. We're going to pry that out of place. I'm using a trim tool. You can use a flat blade screwdriver if necessary. Now we're over by our radiator cap. We need to dislodge our coolant overflow hose. Now there's two more bolts down along the bottom of this fan shroud that we're going to have to remove. For this, I'm going to take hold of the fan, the radiator, and the AC condenser. We'll give them a wiggle, and you should be able to lift them up. We want to lift it up just enough that we can gain access to those two 10mm bolts, one on either side of the radiator. If you need to, you could use a small spacer, such as a small chunk of wood if necessary. There's one for one side. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now we have this raised. Prior to removing those two mounting bolts, there's one more thing that I want to do first, and that's located just right along the front of the AC condenser. You can see that there's a small metal bracket which is attached to our fan shroud. We want to remove this. This is what's holding our air temp sensor in place. Use a small pick, press in on the center dot, and then lift this up and out of place. Just a quick inspection of that bracket, confirming it's not rotted, weak, or damaged, and we'll hang this aside. Now we can start removing those two 10mm bolts, one on each side of the radiator and fan shroud assembly. 10mm on here. Here we go. This is starting to move for us. There's one mounting bolt. Let's go over to the other side and repeat this exact same process. Now all the way over here, we can see our next 10mm mounting bolt. There's that one. Let's remove support from underneath our radiator and fan. Along the top front of the bumper cover, we're going to start dislodging our front grille. You'll find that you have one 10mm bolt and two plastic push clips, one on either side. Start with the bolt. For the push clips, you can use a flat blade screwdriver, trim tool, whatever you happen to have. Start by removing the center to unlock it, and then remove the outer portion as well. We'll take hold of the front grille, give it a wiggle, and slide it straight out and away from the front bumper cover. There's a couple plastic clips. Typically, they just slide out of place. Now, along the front of this area, if you were looking behind your hood latch, you're going to find your radiator support going all the way down along the front of the AC condenser. We're going to remove this. For that, you're going to find that it has several pieces of mounting hardware. 3 10mm bolts. There's one up top, one just underneath the hood latch, and if you make your way all the way down to the bottom, you're going to find the final mounting bolt all the way down there. Once we get that out of place, we'll continue up a little further. Now this can be fairly difficult to see. Try to get it on there. I'm just going to go ahead and dislodge this from the bumper cover. Get that push pin out of there. Let's get this mounting bolt. This last one up here. Pull on that if necessary. Let's make sure we're holding onto this. We can remove that bolt fully. Now we're just going to try to pivot this out of position. Goes one direction or the other. Slide it. There we are. Just go ahead and give that a quick inspection and we'll set it aside. Now we're going to carefully take hold of our AC condenser. You can see that I'm lifting this up. We only need to go so far because down at the bottom of it, there's a couple little tabs that slide into the bottom of the fan assembly. Now once we have that separated, we're going to do the same exact thing for the radiator. And now let's do the same thing for the radiator. Try to lift this up a little bit here. Slide it. We're separating the radiator from the fan, and we can start lifting the fan up and out of position. Be careful for your coolant hose or anything else that might get caught along the way. Now we want to have a little bit more space to maneuver things around. Let's remove the battery. For that, start with the negative battery terminal. You can either remove it from this portion here, or in this case, I'm going to remove this bolt and just pull that wire aside. I'm using an 11mm for my application. We'll set that aside so it's making no contact. Continue on to the positive terminal next. 10mm for this mounting nut. As far as the battery hold down, you're going to find you have two different pieces of hardware. Each of these is going to be 10mm. We have a mounting nut, and we also have a mounting bolt. As far as the mounting nut, it's on a threaded shaft, and this is pretty much the adjustment for the hold down. Make our way to the mounting bolt next. Remove the hold down and the battery. We'll also remove the battery tray. Now we should have quite a bit more movement as far as the fan's concerned. We're going to carefully start pulling each thing away from each other. We want to make sure that we do not scrape the fan up along the backside of the radiator. Damaging any of the cooling fins can be an issue. I'm lifting up on the fan. Once I have it pressed back as far as possible, I'm pressing down, attempting to hold it there. Now as we start separating this, you may find that the coolant hose gets in the way. It's flexible. Just go ahead and pull it out of place. We should be able to start lifting this up. There we are. Just try to get the side away from there. Just gently flexing, being careful not to cause any damage along the way. Now we have plenty of movement from this area, but I like to have some slack from my coolant hoses. That way there we can push the fan as far as necessary. I've sprayed my two 10mm bolts holding this plastic bracket to the metal bracket. We'll start removing these. Get that one broken free. Both are broken free. Let's get them out of here. The next thing we're going to do is make our adjustment for our coolant hose, pulling it out of the way. You can hold it there using a bungee cord. Now, as you can tell, we've got plenty of room, even down at the bottom, to start removing the fan from along the driver's side of the radiator. You want to be extremely careful along this side. On the bottom of the fan, there's a small hooked plastic area that houses the air temp sensor. We want to make sure that does not slide across the radiator and potentially cause any damage. You'll also find along the driver's side of the fan assembly, there's a small notch for your coolant tube or coolant hose. Just go ahead and carefully press that out of position. We'll start sliding this up and start removing it. Now we want to have a little bit of slack from the opposite side of the radiator. Sometimes you can just stretch the hose. It's not so hard to just go ahead and remove the hose from the radiator. To do that, we're just going to carefully start opening the radiator cap. You want to press down, turn counterclockwise, and lift up and away from your face. We're only doing this to make sure that we relieve any pressure from inside of the cooling system. Now we can close that. If you have any type of hose restrictor clamps, you can use those. You don't need to put too much pressure. We just essentially want to try to release as little coolant from this area as possible. You're going to have a squeezable clamp. Typically for this, you can use pliers of some sort. You just want to squeeze in on the locking ears, and then you should be able to pull that clamp out of place. Slide this out of here. Just double check, make sure that's soft and pliable, not torn, worn, or damaged. We can rest it aside. Now we're just flexing our lower radiator hose. When you do this, you may find that coolant makes its way out of the cooling system. Obviously, we want to collect and recycle any coolant properly. We'll just continuously slide this up, being careful not to cause any damage along the way. Nice and easy. There it is, friend. On the original fan assembly, we're going to remove our fan module. This should be held in place with two 8mm headed mounting bolts. As you can tell, one of ours is rusted, and there really isn't much left to it, so there's nothing to do for this one. Let's get this last one out of there. Yeah, very rusted. Both of those broke. That's okay, we'll just replace that hardware. Okay, friend, let's prepare to install our fan assembly. Right now, I have it upside down so we can install our control module. Slide that into place. We have two mounting bolts. You want to start them in? Snug it up. Okay, get that one started in. Just make sure that's properly aligned, snug them up. Let's connect our electrical connector. This just goes inside what would be the lower port. As I mentioned, this is upside down. Press it in, listen for a click, give that a tug, make sure it's secured. Now we can start bringing the fan down into the engine compartment. We just want to be aware of our coolant hoses. We have the one over towards the passenger side. We also have the one on the driver's side. We'll just gently start bringing this down, and of course we're being extremely careful not to cause any damage to the radiator or the AC condenser along the way. Start bringing the fan assembly down along the front of the engine compartment. Reach down for this coolant hose. We'll gently flex that out of the way. We'll just gently flex that out of position. Now, as we continue doing this, obviously there's very minimal room, so we're just going to have to pivot things around. We want to be extremely careful. We'll just flex some hoses as necessary. This is looking good. Should be able to lift up on that radiator as necessary. Slide it under. There we go. Now we're looking all the way down along the driver's side, bottom of the radiator, and the fan. In this area, you may find that you have a hard time trying to get this aligned, and that's due to the coolant hose. Now for this, we just want to carefully try to stretch and push this over the small tab that's on the bottom of the radiator. This should want to slide into position. Lift up on that radiator, slide the fan into position. Now we just want to make sure that the lower tab on the AC condenser is sliding into the port on that fan shroud. Now down here at the bottom of the AC condenser, you can see where the fan's coming just underneath there. Just make our adjustments. You should be able to slide that AC condenser down into position. Obviously, you want to repeat this process on the other side of the fan as well. There we are. Once you have it so your AC condenser is properly set inside of your fan shroud, The next thing we're going to do is align our radiator as well. Along each side of the fan, you're going to find the area for your 10mm headed mounting bolt. We want to make sure that our mounting bolt ports are properly aligned on each side. Assuming they are, continue on with your 10mm headed mounting bolts. Once you have one bolt started in, you need to go over to the other side of the radiator and fan assembly. Once they're both started in, go ahead and snug them up. All right, that one's nice and tight. Let's go over to the other side and make sure that's tight as well. Now we're going to make sure we have the fan shroud mounting tabs inside of their rubber grommets. Make our adjustments as necessary, slide it down and in. Obviously, you want to have it in place on both sides. Now up along the top area here, we have our plastic panel. This is going to sandwich everything together. Along the top of the AC condenser, you have this one tab that protrudes up, slides into this port. This port is for the radiator. And then over here, this is for the mount. It's going to hold everything together. Same thing on the other side. When we bring this into position, you just want to make sure you go underneath this. There's one, there's two. Now I have this rested in position. We want to continue on by making any adjustments as necessary. You can either squeeze or pull things apart. We'll align it and get in our mounting bolts along each side. Start it in, leave it loose. Now as you can tell, we need to make an adjustment for our fan here. Let's bring that over. Should slide right in. That lines up perfectly. I can see my tabs. I've got my mounting bolt port. Let's get our radiator support brackets in place. For these, just go ahead and rest them in position, start in the 12mm headed mounting bolts and snug them up. Double check to make sure that's properly secured in place. It should not be able to move around. Let's get this off of here. Let's get this bracket in place. Two 10mm headed mounting bolts. Let's bring our coolant hose into place. It just goes across the top of the cooling fan, all the way over towards the radiator cap. We'll slide that onto the radiator. Make sure you secure it with your clamp. If your clamp is rotted and weak, replace it with a new clamp. Let's grab those ears, slide it into position. Attempt to remove it from the radiator. It should not slide out of place. Now we'll continue on with the electrical connector. Go ahead and line it up and press it in until you hear a click. Make sure it's secure. There's our click. Next, we're going to install our battery tray. Along the bottom of it, you have two locating tabs. We'll just look at the battery bracket. You can see exactly which way this needs to go. Let's get the battery in place. Battery hold down. If you have a battery strap, you can go ahead and lift that up. Slide this hold down under that. As far as the hardware for this, you want to start both pieces on. We're going to tighten the mounting bolts first, and then we'll continue on with the adjustment nut. When we tighten that, we only want to tighten enough that the battery cannot move around. We don't want to cause any damage. As far as the terminal ends, you want to start with the positive first. Double check to make sure it's properly secured. It should not move around. Protect your positive terminal end. It's time for the negative battery terminal. Let's get our front radiator support in place. We're going to have to come in at an angle, and then we'll swing this around as necessary. Let's get this hardware in here next. Now, as far as the hardware, we're only starting it in. Once we have all pieces of hardware in place, we'll tighten it up. Let's get this next one. Now let's get that bottom bolt. All 3 mounting bolts are started in. Now we can snug them. I'm starting with the bottom. There we are. That one's nice and tight. Let's get our push pin in place. Let's get our air temp sensor in place. This metal bracket just slides directly onto that fan shroud. Just press it down, listen for a click, and then give it a tug to make sure it's properly secured in place. And of course, we're going to secure that wiring harness. Press that onto there. Now we're going to get the grill in place. Before I start sliding it in, just have a quick look along the backside, especially along the bottom. This is where we're going to find several locating tabs. Those locating tabs will fit into the bumper cover. So we'll have to line this up, press it straight rearward, and then we'll continue on with our mounting bolt and 2 push clips. Down nice and low. Press that in. Let's get this other side in place. On the original fan shroud, you're going to find that we have our coolant reservoir. We're going to drain the coolant out of the reservoir and of course recycle it as needed, but we want to transfer over this reservoir hose. I have a collection receptacle so I can recycle all that fluid properly. Now we can remove the hose. We'll pull it out of place along the top area here. It should pivot. If it doesn't pivot, it might be stuck in place. And if that's the case, you can use a small pick or even use some pliers to break it free. If you use pliers, just be extremely careful not to cause any damage to the hose itself. We'll pull that out of place. Now let's install our coolant overflow hose. The lower area will go up against our coolant reservoir, and then the upper portion is going to go all the way up to the radiator, just below our radiator cap. Try to line this up. We'll press it on there as far as possible. Now, good news about this hose itself is that it's not under pressure. If you can take it and slide it off, you definitely want to make sure it will be secured. You could use a wire tie for this or a clamp of some sort if necessary. This one does not slide off, so I'm not worried about it popping off. We'll continue on up along the side of the overflow tank. There's one small securing point here, and now we're up along the top at the radiator. Along the top, same thing here. It's not under any pressure, so we're just going to press it on and then attempt to pull it off. If it slides off, just use a wire tie or clamp. Now it's time to check and top off our cooling system. Since we did remove our upper coolant hose from this area, you may have lost a little coolant. Just go ahead and open the radiator cap and top it off with the manufacturer's specified coolant. After that, just go ahead and reinstall your cap by resting it in place and turning it clockwise until it stops. Once your cooling system's full, you also need to fill your coolant reservoir. Now, if you were looking along the reservoir, you're going to find that it does have a full line. There's a small F right here, and there's a line that makes its way across. To top this off, I'm going to be using a funnel. Install the cover on your coolant reservoir. Okay, friend, we finished the installation of our cooling fan assembly. Now, the next thing that we always want to do is hop in the passenger compartment and start the vehicle. You're going to let it run for a short while. We want to let the engine get up to normal operating temperature. When this happens, your cooling fans should turn on. Once those cooling fans turn on, just double check for leaks in this area, top off the coolant as necessary, close the hood, take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.